as I grew throughout my career, that was part of it. But then learning the whole mindset side of things became even more intriguing because I think, as you obviously really well know, that as we train people, we become almost therapists in some way.
Yeah, for sure,
And so
for sure, for sure.
so having that mindset piece has been a fun thing that I didn't anticipate either. So
Welcome to the Success Fitness Podcast. I am your host, Christian Evans. This podcast is about improving our relationship with nutrition and exercise to achieve success in our fitness journey. And our special guest today, Steve Hlavac, founder of Beyond Measure Fitness, will help us do just that by sharing how fitness is much more than just looking better and getting stronger, and how he went from training clients for free out of his friend's garage to open his own training facility. Without further ado, Success Fitness family, please welcome Steve Hlavac to the podcast. How you doing, Steve?
doing awesome, Christian. Thanks for having me on, man. This is awesome.
No problem, no problem, no problem. So you are currently where now?
Our gym is in Naperville. My wife and I, we live in Yorkville, Illinois, but our gym is in Naperville, Illinois.
Okay, so how long have you all been up there in the Chicagoland area?
Yeah, so I'm born and raised. I've lived in the Chicago area my whole life. Our gym, we've been there. We opened in the location we're in October of 2013, so 9 years now.
Wow.
And yeah, so we've been there for a while. Yeah, I've been in the Naperville, Wheaton area essentially my whole life. I went to college there. I went to college right downtown Naperville, and have yet to really leave the area. So
Okay.
been here for a while.
Okay, cool. It's a cool place to be. A cool place to be. I actually went to college up in DuPage County at DeVry
Okay,
in
nice.
2000. Yeah. Yep. In 2000. So I spent about a year up there kind of going back and forth and trying to get familiar with some of the suburbs and everything like that up there. So how did you get into personal training?
Yeah, really it started with sports. So I was an athlete my whole life. Love doing everything active, so not just sports, but, snowboarding, like just everything outside. But with sports, I'm not the tallest guy in the world. I wasn't the biggest or the fastest. And so I had to work for everything that I achieved with sports. And so that introduced me to the weight room, obviously. And so I just kind of fell in love with training from a young age. One of my brothers is 6 years older than me. And he's one of those dudes where you look at him, or I'm sorry, if he looks at a weight, he just gets bulky. He's just
Yeah,
genetically
yeah.
one of those people. And I'll never forget, he was like a freshman or sophomore in high school, and he came home like after like midsummer. And I was like, oh my gosh, like I didn't know muscles could exist like that, So that really inspired me to really want to start working out. So I started working out from a young age at like 11, fell in love with it. That carried me through sports. I played sports all through college. So I played football and baseball at a private D3 college. Did internships. I majored in exercise science, so I kept that going through college. And I did multiple internships and started training people for free. And that kind of slowly evolved into people offering me their space, turning those space eventually coming into an opportunity to open the 3,500 square foot facility that we have. And I'm happy to go into further detail, but that's just kind of like a real quick rundown of how we got started and where we're at now.
I got you. So what college did you go to? I'm sorry if I missed.
Yeah,
I
no,
missed
North Central College, right downtown Naperville.
Okay. And your major was what was your major again?
Exercise science.
Okay. So by seeing Big Bro look at weights and then instantly get larger, that kind of motivated you to want to at least learn the science behind what was going on. So what were some of the things that stuck out to you during your education?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. Growing up kind of in like an old school, how it was, I'm sure, going through high school, they didn't really know what they were doing. We all just kind of did an old school kind of routine. And I carried that through, I mean, honestly, throughout college. So small D3 schools, they don't have the payroll like D1 schools to have a full-time strength and conditioning coach. So, all throughout school, I was just kind of doing that school stuff. So I thought I knew, because I was getting stronger. I gained muscle, that sort of thing. So the biggest eye opener for me was really how little I knew about training going into school. They had a really great exercise science program over there. And I was caught off guard. I'm not going to lie. I was like, man, it's not rocket science, but there's definitely science to it. And, that was really eye opening to me, and just kind of fell in love with the science of it, and just learning more, and seeing how, anatomy and physiology can really have an impact on the body. And then as I grew throughout my career, that was part of it. But then learning the whole mindset side of things became even more intriguing, because I think, as you obviously really well know, that as we train people, we become almost therapists in some way.
Yeah, yeah, for
And
sure,
so,
for sure, for sure.
so having that mindset piece has been a fun thing that I didn't anticipate either. So, but yeah, North Central College has great program over there. I had a really good experience.
Okay, cool, cool. So, Beyond Measure Fitness, what is it and how did it come to be? Are you hungry but only have 30 minutes to meal prep? Then download my new e-cookbook, What's a Meal Prep, at successfitnessstore.com. You will get 3 step-by-step written and visual recipes for one high-protein meal that's under 600 calories. I'll help you cook fresh salmon, steam fresh broccoli, and quinoa in under 30 minutes to help you stay on track of your fitness goals. So go to successfitnessstore.com to download your copy today.
Yeah, so we are a personal training facility. So we started well, the story is quite interesting, and if I take too long, feel free to cut me off. So
I got you. I got you. Go ahead. Go ahead and tell it.
Yeah. So I started. I did 2 internships in college, and when I was doing my internships, I was falling in love with everything I was learning, and I was just sharing it with everybody for free, just because I loved it, and I knew I needed the experience. So I was doing that. Somebody, while I was training them, they offered me their little half garage to use as a space. Um, they essentially turned their garage into a gym that I could use so long as I trained them. So I trained them for free, and then I
I
could
got
train
you.
whoever I wanted there.
Okay.
All of a sudden, 8 people would start showing up to this little half garage, and we would have nowhere to go. There was no
Right,
room.
right, right, right.
Another person offered me the same thing. Technically, it was a barn. There weren't like cows and chickens running around or anything like that. But I spent all my money on equipment to turn this barn into a gym, essentially. And that's actually where the gym was born. I started the LLC back in 2012.
Okay.
Technically, the business is 10 years old, but we've been in like a legit space now for 9.
Right. You got to see if it work. You know what I mean? If this is just a hobby or this is just some bros just coming over to lift some weights or whatever. But I got you. I got you. Keep going.
Yep. Yeah, so that's kind of how it got ramped up. Now, in the middle of this process, there was kind of a tragic part of this story where in 2012, my best friend was murdered. It was just a
Condolences.
horrible thing, and just totally random and senseless. And it took me down this crazy spiral, and you can ask about that if you want, and I'm happy to share any details on that. I'm an open book. But anyway, so he died, and started to plan a fundraiser for his scholarship that he has at North Central College. And I didn't know there's going to be another person there. Long story short, this other gentleman there ends up being one of the biggest donors in North Central College history. Sean's dad was kind of talking about what I was doing, and by the end of the day, he decided he wanted to support what I was doing, and that's kind of how we got our funding to start the 3,500 square foot gym that we've got now. So that's how we went from the barn to our facility now with his support. So
I got you.
yeah, I think that's a new record for me of story down. So that was
No,
good.
it's all good. I think that goes to show it's like even in tragedy, there's still a birth of something else, just kind of how life goes is, there's life and then there's death. And then after death, and there's life again. It's like the ongoing cycle is because it's, I bet you were trying to figure out how does this make any sense? Still a life was lost, so condolences to you and your friend's family and everything, because that is tragic. Nobody deserves to, lose a life, like you said, just senselessly like that. But you know in turn, there was still something that kind of gained, out of that, unexpectedly, not to say that, hey, he passed away and now we got this. No, but just some things just kind of just work out that way. You can't even explain it. It's just happens. It just happens. Now, what is the demographic of
Yeah.
clientele that you have at your facility?
Yeah, I would say on for the most part, we're 45 and older, and
Okay.
about 75% female. So on
Okay.
average, that's kind of what you would.
Okay. Let me ask you this. This is going off of experience, and I want to see if you had the same one. Do you or have you had say like married couples or just couples, male and female, come in, and who normally is the talker and who is the walker out of the two?
Oh, by far the women are the walkers. Like they come in and actually get started, right? And then
Yes, 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 yes. The
the
guys do all
husbands
this
usually come
talking.
like they come crawling in later. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. The guys do all this talking and stuff like that. And it's like, yeah, I'm gonna do this, or they're kind of like trying to almost kind of blow you off, like you're not the trainer. And it's like, okay. And then it's like, okay, let's execute this exercise. Let's execute this exercise. And then like the female can kind of be kind of like timid at first. And it's not timid, it's them assessing everything. You know what I mean? It's like the Terminator. It's like, okay, they're doing all the data input and everything, and then they something just goes in and they just execute it, perfect form, perfect everything. Meanwhile, the guy's over there, hands over his knees, getting ready to vomit, and now she's
Yeah.
laughing at him.
Yeah. Not talking anymore for sure.
Yeah, yeah, for sure, for sure, for sure. What's one of the most frequent questions your potential clients or your current clients asking?
Yeah, no, I would definitely say, people ask about cost. That's going to be the most common that we see is like, oh, how much does it cost? And I think, kind of referring back to the mindset that we were kind of just alluding to earlier, I think that's due to just a poor mindset and attitude towards fitness, right? Obviously, you've got to find something that fits in your budget. That's just
Right,
being smart. But if you're using that word cost, you're kind of seeing it as like a zero sum game. Whereas if you change the wording a little bit and see it as an investment for yourself, changes everything because it is. And it's the most important investment you could ever make is in your health, right? It's
right,
really difficult. When you break it down, it's difficult to argue that, right? It doesn't
right.
matter how much money you make or what you have. It's like, man, as soon as you start losing your health, that's when you realize, like, man, I should have
I
invested.
should
And
have. Right, right, right.
I
That is
think
so key.
it's like you see that happen to so many people, and it's just the worst thing ever. And that's why we do what we do. We try to encourage and motivate people to change their mindset on that. And but yeah, that's easily the most common. And so that's just I don't take that personal. I see that as kind of an opportunity to try to change their mindset, try to educate them a little bit in terms of kind of looking at it in a different way, if
I
that makes sense.
gotcha. Have you had any difficulties in that, in that type of, like approach? Like when you first got into this business, how did you take that when, let's just say, you put your price out there, right? And somebody's asking, and then the hesitancy of it. How did you kind of go from like, okay, this person is hesitant, yeah, okay. What do I say now? Or based off of the feedback they give you, how did you respond from then to now? It's like, okay, you got your, I don't like to call it spiel, right? But you got your
Yeah.
spiel down, and to the point to where now they're like, okay, I get it.
Yeah, no, it's a great question. And early on, I had zero sales experience. So it was a mess. Like I think back of what I was doing before, and it's like, how in the world did we even make it? It's crazy.
Right, right, right. Like, hey, you want to work out?
Right. Yeah. It's like, what was I
Yeah.
doing? I have no idea. I had no system, and now, after 10 years of experience, and I think the biggest thing for me now is just complete belief in what I do. So for
Right.
me, it's just like, I believe in what I do so much. I know this is going to work for you. And that comes out in our initial conversations. I have actual conversations with people. I listen to what they actually, what their goals are, and I give them honest feedback in terms of what is going to actually get them there. And I think it's my belief in what we do and how we're going to get them there that ends up, selling is such an, icky word in our industry, right? But
You are right. You are right.
it's like, but it's an opportunity to change the course of somebody's life is what
True.
it comes down to.
True.
So it's like,
True.
if I don't sell you, if I can't convince you that this is the most important thing in your life, then I screwed up, because like now your life is going to go this way when it could have gone that way. Not to say that they may not find something else, but I know that what we do and how we motivate and encourage is going to get you there. And if I can't connect with you, if I can't find that reason why this is important to you, then I have failed you. You know, I've got to take responsibility for that. I never put it on the other person. It's just my inability to connect with that person. And it's a big responsibility when you think about it as a salesperson in this industry. But I love it. Honestly, it's I was somebody who got into this, and sales scared the bejesus out of me.
Right.
And now I get so excited because I just see it as an opportunity. You have that opportunity to totally change somebody's mindset and perception, what they were thinking previously about fitness. And that to me is the coolest thing ever.
Yeah, for sure. I know I had a, come to Jesus moment when I realized like this is a sales job or the sales position, or it's a part of it, whatever, you know, uh, order you want to put that in. And that kind of set me back for a second, just more like, let me sit back in my seat and really process that, because there is a transaction there to a point to where it's like, now everything is so uh visually accepted or visually accessible when it's like, okay, I can look on Instagram
Right.
and, do this, workout. Like, I checked out, I think you may have posted it today, but the algorithm will show you stuff 2 or 3 days later, but you had put like this poll on the wall and you were doing a core workout. I'm like, man, that's neat. And just the access that people just have to that. Now, granted, you don't, that person who's watching that does not get the form checks, the tweaks, the foot position, the handle, overhand, underhand, you know what I mean? All those things. And that is what people pay for, versus it's like, oh, I can just look at what Steve is doing, or I can just look at what Christian is doing and just emulate that. And it's like, no, it's much more than that. We could probably spend 30 minutes on cue points on how to
Oh
do
yeah.
something or how to do that, and then you got to let them do it. And then it's like, oh, okay, you know, this is your interpretation of it. But I said all that to say is that that whole term, like you said, sales, it can be kind of a icky feeling, but at the same time, it's, hey, I got to keep these lights on at this facility,
For sure.
and I know that probably was a different transition or something that you learned over time, going from personal trainer to gym facility owner. So what was that transition like, going from personal trainer to now it's okay, I own this gym. I got to make sure everything's on the up and up.
Well, let me tell you. Well, I could write a book on how not to open a gym,
Yeah.
because I made every mistake. Like I was completely clueless when we started. I had no clue of what we were doing. So like we started this thing, I had no sales experience, no marketing experience, no business acumen whatsoever. And I was honestly a novice trainer. I was right out of college, so it's
Mm-hmm.
like, I don't start a business. If you're there, any kid that I just talked at North Central the other day, my suggestion was like, hey, you need to get at least 5 years in the industry, getting all this experience, becoming a good trainer, learning sales, marketing before you even think about opening a gym, right? So that's what
Right.
I always
Right.
tell. So, man, that first day, when we opened, I'll be perfectly honest, this is embarrassing, but this is the truth. I didn't even know what our opening day expenses were going to be prior.
Gotcha.
So I literally found out like the week we were opening. And I was like, at the time, I think it was like $8,000 just to keep the lights on and to pay myself something. That was like our break even point, right? $8,000. I have to pay rent. I've got to, pay our loan. I've got to do all this. And I was like, I don't think I've seen $8,000 in my entire life at this point.
I
How the
gotcha.
heck
I
am I going to
gotcha.
generate
I gotcha. I
a month?
gotcha.
Oh my gosh. So man, it slapped me in the face. It was terrifying. One of the scariest times of my life. But honestly, the way that I grew up, my lack of understanding in terms of money, business, like it was a really hard experience, but I am so grateful for it because I just got thrown into the fire and I had to figure it out. Luckily, my wife was there as well. We would have never made it if it wasn't for my wife as well. She saved me in so many ways throughout my
Right.
life. But yeah, man, that was scary. Don't For anyone listening, do not open a business until you have at least 5 years of experience in that industry. If you're brick and mortar, I should clarify, because there's a lot of online stuff you can do now. But if you're going to open up a brick and mortar business, don't just go in blind. You're
I
setting
got you. I got
yourself
you. So how was that? How was that first week like then? Uh I can't even say besides because we have to compartmentalize, like, okay, yeah, I understand this expenses, I got to put that over there. But that whole just experience, that first week, opening week, what was that like for you, thinking about, man, I was in the barn and my friend passes, and now here I am opening this facility. What was your emotions like going through all of that whole week?
Yeah. So, prior to opening, I was really excited. I couldn't wait to open the doors. But knowing what I know now about the industry, man, like I should have been like 3 months prior to opening, I should have been doing pre-sales, marketing. I should have had a list of pre-sold members before we even opened, right? It's like, but I
Gotcha.
had no idea. So as soon as I found out that, oh my gosh, I'm in the whole $8,000 to start right off the bat, I went old school because this was 2013. This is even before like Facebook ads and things like
Right.
that got
Right.
hot. And so I was literally walking, there's some businesses in the area, there's a lot of
Hmm.
apartment complexes. I was literally walking door to door, introducing myself, saying, "Hey, this is me. We have this personal training facility."
Wow.
Like literally. And then people actually started coming in, and then they started giving us referrals, and somehow to this day, I don't know, I don't know how we did it, but I think it was just, being young, energetic, passionate
Right.
about doing that got us.
Right.
But we made it, man. I mean, it was 5 a.m. to 8 p.m. Monday through Friday, for 2 years. Saturdays I was there as well. Not as long, just a couple hours on Saturday, but 6 days a week, Monday through Friday was 5 a.m. to 8 p.m. every day. It was, like I said, I don't recommend that path, but now that I'm through it, I am grateful for the experience for sure.
I got you. Side question: what is your favorite piece of equipment that you have currently in your facility? If you could name one, if you got a couple of them, but
Yeah,
what's something that highlights that for you?
yeah. I would, for me personally,
Yeah.
or
Yeah. Yeah. For you personally.
I would say like right now, I really love dumbbell bench press. So I would say that for our members, I would say the kettlebells, just because they're so, like, you can do so much with the kettlebell,
I
So
gotcha. I
yeah,
gotcha.
but lately I've been feeling dumbbell bench press, so I would say that for me right now.
I got you. I got you. So, what does a typical day look like? You talked about, from 5 a.m. to 8 p.m. for 2 years straight, 6 days a week. So, what does a typical day look like for you today?
Yeah, no, that's so now, I'm not at the gym as much.
Okay.
I'm there probably about 15 hours a week. And I'm still training there. I do a lot of work with our team. I'm really doing a lot more in terms of providing value to our members as often as I can. And so for me, I get up really early every single day, and I I tell people this, like, this is for accountability for me as well as proof that I'm not just talk here. Check me out on Instagram, and you'll see me every single day. You'll see my coffee starting at like 3:38 in the morning, because I get up at 3:30. By the time I get to the coffee, it's about 3:38, 3:39.
Yeah.
You'll see it every day, I guarantee you.
Yeah.
So up real early, I have a quick snack, and then I pretty much get to work right away. For me, I've got to get a few things done so that I like mentally kind of unload a little bit. So I get to work right away for a couple hours. Once I hit that point where I'm like kind of running out of steam, or if like mentally I'm just starting to fade a little bit, that's when I go work out. So I'll go work out at that point. Then it kind of revitalizes me for the rest of the day. At that point, I'll come home and either get more work done, or if it's a day where I need to go into the gym, that's when I go into the gym, do my sessions there.
Okay.
Uh, yeah, come back. And prior to that, I actually, before going to the gym, I'm so blessed that I get to wake up my son every day. I have a year
Good.
and 9-month-old son.
Okay.
It's honestly my favorite part of the day.
Okay.
I go
Good.
wake him up. It's twofold. Number one, I love that time with him. Number two, my wife, what's something really important for me, especially with all that I've put her through over the last 10 years. She gets to take her time in the morning, right? And so that's important for me. I want her to be able to kind of relax and take her time and not have to, kind of take care of our son right away, that first thing every time. So that's important to me. I get to hang with him. I take him to his nanny. Then I go to the gym, come back. Depending on the day, I might work out at that point and then pick up our son. And then before you know it, it's like, man, it's already 7 o'clock, and
Yeah. Yeah.
putting our son to bed, having dinner, and doing it all over again the next day.
I
So
got you. I got you. That's busy, man. Busy starting wee hours of the morning, 3:38. Got the coffee going. Almost sounds similar to me, but I think my time is more about 5:08. So
yeah,
you got about an hour and a half, almost 2 hours on me in that regards to as far as starting coffee. So speaking of coffee, because I'm a coffee lover too, what is your favorite roast? Do you prefer light, medium, or dark, or what's your favorite brand?
so I'm an espresso guy. We got the Nespresso
Okay.
espresso machine, and I make an Americano, so 2 shots of espresso with some hot water, and then I put collagen, protein, and creatine in there.
Okay.
uh, which so I start my day off with some protein right away. And yeah, no, if I have one vice, I would say I'd probably drink too much coffee.
I
That
got you. I
yeah,
got you. I got you. I got you. I'm not sure if I can say I drink a lot, but I usually try to have about 1 cup, and my cup is about 8 ounces, like an 8 ounce cup or whatever. If sometimes I may have two. Uh, what's today? Today is Wednesday? No, Tuesday. Um, I don't think I've had a cup of coffee since like Thursday. I go through these phases where I try
okay,
to like, take about a week off and then go right back in, take about a
nice.
week
Yeah,
off. And you know what I mean? Just no particular reason. It's just some days I'm like, let me do something else.
based on
Let me do,
feel.
yeah, for sure. That way, when I do decide to drink some more, it'll just be like that much more potent. I'm a fan of this brand. It's called Copper Moon. It's Copper Moon. It's Hawaiian hazelnuts. They're really good. I use that, and then I have some espresso, and I put a little bit in there, and so that gets me going. First thing in the morning. If I don't have any early morning clients, like sometimes I have about a 7:30. If I can get at least like 30 minutes of cardio in before that, you know, I'm cool. And then I'll do weights, later. Now you
Yeah,
mentioned about kind of working out after you get done far as with whatever work that you have far as for the day. How long do you work out? What's like an average far as time duration? If you have a time duration, or is it just like, okay, I need to do this sets, these reps, blah, 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 and I'm out.
totally. Yeah, I find that like my mental timer starts to go off at like 45 minutes to an hour. So I
Gotcha.
try to move quick and get it done. You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
You
Gotcha.
know how it is, like all this stuff starts, you try to get thoughts out of your head, but they just
Yeah,
pop up.
yeah.
So
Yeah,
it's
it's
like,
like I gotta wrap this up. I got this to do. I got that to do. I need to email this person back
for
because
sure.
it's such a fun time. It's such a detached time. But then it's like, okay, I think I'm having too much fun.
Right.
It's like
All right.
something has to be on fire somewhere. I need to go put it out somewhere.
For sure.
So I get it. So what's the toughest part about your day?
That's a great question. I would say, I mean, I guess if I had to pick something, it's not easy. I mean, it's not easy to get up at 3:30 in the morning. Every single
Right.
time I am dead tired. Like I'm not going to
Right.
wake up and I'm like, why the hell did I choose to do this?
Right, right,
But
right.
I stay up, like the key is staying on my feet. So I stay on my feet. I have my alarm is across the room. So I have to get up out of bed. Walk over there, and then I force myself to like literally just stand by my dresser for like 3 minutes. And then at that point, I'm like, all right, I'm up. So yeah,
I
that's the hardest.
gotcha.
Is
I
just
gotcha.
waking up, honestly.
Now let me ask you this. I'm gonna give you credit, and I'm just going off of assumption. Where did you get that method from about having your alarm, your alarm in the other side of the room?
I don't remember. You might know, like I don't remember exactly who I got it from. Who popped into your mind?
Um, Jesus, we're both like, um, bald headed guy. I really don't know his name. I think he goes by Keto something, but
Oh,
he's a real popular guy, whatever. And I was just watching something on him probably maybe about a month ago, and he mentioned the exact same thing that you just said. He said when he gets up, he no, the night before he sets his alarm, and he said puts in his bathrobe on the door or something like that. That way
that's
he
a
has
good
to
idea.
get up and literally just like you said. And when it goes off, he has to get up versus just leaning over and just, hitting the snooze button. That way he's up and he has to, turn it off. And then he says he like he'll go down and drink his protein coffee or whatever that he made the night before, and he does like what you just said. He had like kind of post a picture and say, "Hey, everybody, I'm up," just like how you do with the coffee. And at first, I'm like, because I was trying to figure out how to be a little bit more productive in my day.
Yep.
And you know what? I'm like, okay, let me start putting my alarm clock out at 5 and let me put it in my other room. So now when it goes off, I have to like literally get up and walk into the other room. Even then, sometimes I still say, whatever, I go lay back down. But 90% of the time, I'm up. I'm up. So that method does work. So if you are listening and watching and wanting a way to be a little bit more productive in your day, just put your phone or your alarm into the other room or downstairs, wherever, where you can hear it when it goes off. That way you have no chance in the world to go back to bed. Sometimes there still is a chance to go back to bed, but at least you give yourself a fighting chance. With that being said, as far as doing your workouts, now you mentioned your favorite piece of equipment is like where you can do some dumbbell chest presses. So what are your least and favorite exercises or muscle groups to work on?
Least I would say is core. I just think core is boring. I
Yeah,
understand as well as you how important it is. It's
yeah,
extreme core. We have to do it. I just get so bored. Especially I think part of it's that mental timer. I'm like, come on, like let's go, so I just get bored with it. So I would say that core is probably my least favorite if I had to pick. I'm trying to think. No, I think that's probably it. If I had to pick one, that would do it for sure. I'm not my weakest movement, I would say, are pull-ups. So it's always frustrating when you have to do like the thing that you're not as good at, right? So
yeah.
I do them. I do them every week, but it's definitely my worst exercise. So I'm always a little like intimidated by that
I
because I know
got
I'm
you.
not.
I got you. I got you. Try to find something else to do instead. It's like, let me go run
Right. Yeah, yeah, for
instead of
sure.
that. Yeah, yeah, for sure, for sure, for sure, for sure. Is there any particular, say, core exercise that kind of sets you off to, you know, have that type of mentality? Not to say that anything's wrong with it, because see, I hate legs where most guys love to do legs. I hate leg, I hate leg day. I did leg day yesterday, and after this interview, once I stand up, everything's going to be sore. So I'm like really looking forward to that.
Yeah, yeah. No, I wouldn't say anything specific. I think it's just more like I actually really enjoy doing exercises that get you to that point where you're like, man, I really want to like I want to stop or I need to stop or like
Gotcha.
close to
Gotcha.
failure kind of
Yeah, I
thing.
gotcha. I gotcha. I gotcha.
With that, I just don't really get that feeling as much. So I'm like, I know it's not a waste of time, but I just appreciate that struggle with some of those other
I
harder
totally get it.
ones, so
I totally get it.
can't really get that with core like you can with, lifting heavy weights.
I got you. Now you mentioned dumbbell presses. Um, Now, do you like decline, flat, or incline, like wide grip or close grip? What is your top tier?
Yeah, my favorite is just standard flat dumbbell bench press.
Nice.
I've been doing a lot of incline dumbbell lately,
Hmm.
but just kind of complement how much flat bench I'd been doing. But yeah, my favorite is definitely just flat dumbbell, nothing fancy. Uh, yep, just straight up flat
I
bench press.
got you. I got you. What do you tell your clients, your potential clients, on how exercise can improve in performance?
Yeah, with exercise, number one, with a lot of the people that I work with, they either have no experience or it's been a long time since they've done anything, right? So first and foremost, I like to let them know that, hey, I'd rather the first several weeks of your training be too easy, almost frustratingly easy,
Right.
than we too much and you end up getting hurt or so sore that you can't move the next day.
Right.
Just not necessary, right? So that's the first thing. In terms of performance wise, there's a lot of things that goes into it, and depending on how much experience they have, right, that's going to impact that as well. So if they're completely inactive, they're going to see some results pretty quickly, right? So
Right.
just the nervous system responding really, really fast, you're going to start to feel stronger and feel different really quick. Whereas if someone's already active, they're not going to feel the difference as quickly in that situation. So just talking to people and learning where they're at and just giving them honest information in terms of what they should realistically expect in terms of, performance from the training.
Got you. So within that talk, what are the top 5 negative things that can affect somebody's performance?
Negative things. Okay. So number one is mindset going in, right? So if they have like um, kind of like a negative mindset, or like a mindset in terms of like it being more of like a means to an end,
Right.
I think that's something that right away I have to address, as well as helping them understand what's most important to them and the reason why they're doing this, right? So like
Right.
to figure that out first so that they can develop the right mindset so that they can stick with it long term. Because on that note, with mindset, again, if they don't take the time to do that, we all know in the beginning of a program, I like to call it the honeymoon phase, right? So like
Right.
everything's shiny and new and exciting
Right.
and
Right.
right? But then after maybe a couple weeks or a couple months, that fades away, right? Just
Right.
like in a relationship, the honeymoon phase ends, right? And you start learning all of the stuff you don't like as much about what you're doing. And I'm on it. I'm upfront with people on that. I'm like, listen, this is going to end. You're not going to be excited. There's going to be days where this is the last thing that you're going to want to do. If you're going to get through that, the only way you're going to is if we take the time to figure out your purpose behind this, right? So it's like for me, I get up at 3:30 a.m. I work out every day. I eat well every day. Those are non-negotiable for me because I want to be the man that my son looks up to, right? Like that's my purpose. I want to be the man that my wife deserves. Like that is way more powerful than like, oh, I just want to lose 20 pounds, right? Whatever the goal is. So it's like those finite goals are important, but you have to have that infinite purpose behind what
Right.
it is to get you through those tough times. So
Right.
mindset's huge with me, like getting people in the right mindset for long-term success. Um, Other than that, I don't think there's a whole lot in terms of um, other things that I see people really struggling with. I think that's the biggest thing that I like to address with people, and I think it makes the most impact as well.
All right. Since we talked about the negative, what are the positive? What are your top 5 keys to success in one's fitness journey?
Yeah, so for me, consistency is everything, right? So come
Hmm.
up with a daily routine that you can stick with every day. So for me, obviously I get up stupid early in the morning, 3:30 in the morning. You don't have to do that. But I would highly suggest waking up at the same time every single day.
Right.
Uh,
Right.
because it's going to create that consistency. You make a promise to yourself, hey, I'm getting up, and you start the day off with a win, right? And when you do that, when you add up these small little wins together, you start to get more confident, right? And confidence is everything with this. So that's my biggest thing for people is find something small that you can commit to every single day. Stay consistent with those things, and that's what's going to lead to ultimate long-term success. So that's understanding the whole process of everything. It's like you've got to have finite goals. You also have to have your purpose behind everything, and you have to have the process, right? That's going to get you there, and you've got to commit to it and stay consistent. So it takes all those
Right.
pieces in order to achieve those long-term that long-term success. And it's hard because with fitness, as you know, it's like we show up and nothing happens that day. We show up
True.
and nothing happens the next day. It's like
True.
you feel it or whatever, but you look in the mirror, nothing changes, right?
True.
Until like, I don't know how long it's going to be. Maybe it's a year later. Then you're going to look in the mirror and be like, whoa, I look different, So, but we don't know when that's going to be. And so that's
True.
why staying motivated with fitness is so difficult, is because you don't see any change. Like you can't see it. You can't tell it's what we're
Right.
selling.
Right. There's no instant gratification right then and there.
Yeah. It's like, yeah, try to sell this. It's like, you have to work really, really hard.
Right.
Painful. It's going to hurt.
Yeah.
Got to change the way you're eating, all this stuff. It's like,
Yes, you're right.
when do you want to sign up? It's like, you
You're
don't,
right.
like,
Exactly. Exactly.
so
Exactly. 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 It's like, all right, I did 5 sit-ups. Where's my six pack? It's like, don't work out like that, homie.
sure. Yeah,
You're
it's a
right.
tough one. And that's a tough barrier to break with some people, getting them into that uh kind of that infinite mindset, that long term
Right. Right. That
appreciating the
investment,
process,
like you said earlier, that investment. So what advice would you give those who are on the fence about starting their fitness journey today?
It's such a great question. So if you're thinking about it, like the first thing that you can do is just find people who are kind of doing or are at the position where you ultimately want to be, right? So find people that inspire you, right? It could be a friend, it could be an influencer on social media, whatever it is. Start following them, because honestly, your surroundings are so important. If you start following those people, as you know, the logarithm with social media, you're going to start seeing more fitness stuff on there, right? So that's going to start to have an impact on the way that you think, right? So start
Right.
following people. You don't have to do anything crazy. I would say pick the simplest thing that you could do. For some people that could be just going for a walk, right? Go for a 20-minute walk 5 days a week. Make that a part of your routine.
Yeah.
Make that a non-negotiable, because even when you don't feel like it, you'll always feel better after you do it. That's the thing, is think of how you're going to feel afterwards. But if you can make something simple a part of your routine, you're going to get the confidence to then take that next step later. So you might not be ready to mentally to join a gym right now, but if you start doing something small, maybe 4 weeks from now or 2 months from now, you'll be in a much more confident mindset to take yourself out of your comfort zone. Because I get
Right.
it, like, it's scary for people who are untrained or out of
Right.
shape. Like, the gym is the last place I want to go, right?
Right.
So I totally get that. And so starting with something small to help you build confidence is something that I would definitely suggest, along with following people, starting to follow people in the industry.
That is so important. That is so important. So, Steve Hlavac, tell everybody where they can reach you, your gym, and go ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. So I'm on Instagram. I definitely suggest you follow me on there. I'm very active on my stories, especially. I'm trying to provide as much value as I can on a daily basis to help, encourage and motivate people to get started and to get moving. So my Instagram is my first name, last name, 1-4. So it's Steve Hlavac 14. And then our gym is called Beyond Measure Fitness. It's in Naperville. You can search that on Instagram and Facebook as well. But yeah, Instagram and Facebook, I would say, are the best places to search me and our gym.
Okay, and I'll have all that information in the show notes for everybody who wants to go ahead and follow Steve and check out his gym. And you guys are just right down the street, or well, right up the street, as far as for me, since I'm south for you. So Naperville, for those who don't know our geographical location, is about maybe less than like 2 hours from where I am in Peoria, Illinois. So next time I'm up there, I'm going to holler at Steve and get a session in. And how long are your sessions? How long are your sessions? You do one-on-one, or do you do group, or do you do both? What's
Yeah,
your mode of training?
we call it semi-private. So we're predominantly semi-private. So for us, that means that our trainers work with 3 to 6 people at a time.
Okay.
And everyone kind of moves at their own pace. So I would say anywhere from 45 minutes to an hour, depending on the pace that you individually.
Okay.
So, yep.
Cool beans. You heard it first. If you found inspiration in today's podcast with Steve Hlavac and would like to support, then sign up to my weekly newsletter, the Success Fitness Newsletter, and get 10% off my new cookbook, What's a Meal Prep for Beginners, when you click the link in my show notes. It includes 3 recipes for one high protein meal under 600 calories, step-by-step written instructions, and also a free workout ebook. The link will be in the show notes or description box, whatever you want to call it. And this brings us to the end of another episode of the Success Fitness Podcast. Thank you for listening. And remember this: if any situation is not making you stronger, simply chant more weight, more weight, more weight. Hashtag more weight. I want to thank Steve Hlavac for appearing on the Success Fitness Podcast. Wish you much success and blessings and prosperity heading into 2023.
Thanks, man. Same to you. Yeah.